one thing that I think we should delve into further is this offense. We've touched on it, but I really want to get specific here. It's been atrocious. I'm just wondering, what players in particular would you guys pinpoint that need to step it up? Off the top of my head, the one that keeps coming to mind is Francisco Lindor. When he does come back from injury, I can't help but think this guy needs to play much better than he has so far because he's hitting 228. He only has 36 RBIs. I know he's missed time, but he's played enough to the point where I would have expected more from him. And the other guy, Michael Conforto. I'm sorry. I know he had the clutch double today that gave them the 2-1 lead against the Giants. I understand he's been doing a little bit better recently, but when your WAR drops from 2.1 to 0.7 in the course of 1 year, and in 2019 his WAR was 3.5, and in 2020 he hit 322, and then this year he's hitting a lowly 217, just above the Mendoza line in a contract year. I'm expecting much better from Michael Conforto. By all accounts, I thought this guy was going to be one of the best hitters on the team. So in my mind, Lindor and Conforto have to step it up offensively if the Mets want to make any sort of noise down the stretch here, because I'm looking at the top of the lineup. Nimmo consistently walks, consistently gets on base, and finds ways to be productive in an offensive sense. Miles, I'll swing it to you first. What Met in your mind needs to play better and swing the bat better down the stretch?
McNeil. In a word, McNeil. I believe going into today's Giants game, he was 1 for 21 in his last 21. And a slump like that for a leadoff guy, someone who's reliable, an everyday starter, is rare. I mean, we see guys like Cody Bellinger go through stretches like this coming off an injury. But those guys, usually they have more power than McNeil. If you play the leadoff role, if you play the everyday middle infielder role, you expect a much higher on-base percentage than 1 for 21 in your last 21. And I know Conforto, he's hit around in the 190s for a couple months now, and it's just, that's hard to watch. And then combine that with Lindor and Baez being out, the Mets have really no offense to speak of. But someone who I definitely don't want to let get out of this unscathed is Jeff McNeil. He needs to take some blame for this. He hasn't been playing up to his standards by any means. And if the Mets are going to have any shot in this NL East, it'll take those everyday players to step it up. You know what I mean? Not the stars. It's going to take the Jeff McNeil, the Conforto to really step it up and play like they can.
Yeah, it's crazy that I'm going to mention someone else. I mean, I think we all point to someone else in this lineup that's not been performing, but I think Dominic Smith has really not lived up to the player he was in 2020. He struck out at a crazy rate since the post-All-Star break, and he doesn't walk. Only 6 walks since the All-Star break. He's only hitting 243, and he only is giving you 2 homers since the All-Star break. So he's someone that's really not stepped up. And when I think almost a better question would be who's been good for this Mets lineup. And I think Alonso's probably the only guy. I actually did some digging on this Mets hitting as a whole heading into the game. And in the month of August, they're 27th in runs, they're 26th in hits, and they're 25th in home runs. I mean, that's just a staggering stat. And this is just another stat I found. Their average runners in scoring position this year is 233, which is the 3rd worst in the MLB. So it's really tough for this team to put up runs on the board when they're not getting hits at the right time. And that's really been the difference with this team all year. So if the Mets can turn it around, I still don't think they're really in reach of anything but the NL East. And that's going to be tough the way the Braves and the Phillies have been playing. So the Mets have to hope they can change this culture. If you're going to even look to the offseason right now, this lineup needs to improve. You've been trying the same group of guys for 2 or 3 years now, and they've not been the answer. So Steve Cohen's got to make moves, and it's not by getting guys like Baez. It's about getting guys with high OPS who get on base and who don't strike out a lot. That's hard to find, but if Steve Cohen's going to chirp his players on Twitter, be able to back that up by making the right moves to get this team to where they need to be.